Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to be talking about a very handy tool that is the utilities panel. And in this utilities panel, it has a couple tools that are very handy when you are inspecting your drawings or inspecting your lines, or you want to just find out information about certain objects within your drawing. So without further ado guys, let us get into this video. Welcome back guys. Now this utility panel that is measuring, basically to measure your stuff, is very handy when instead of drawing, let's say, dimensions to measure certain stuff, like I'm going to use this dimension to measure this step, that is 130 millimeters. But instead of having to draw a dimension that basically has a lot of how you say position already assigned to the dimension, when you want to be more precise, it's better to use your measuring tool. And what your measuring tool does is exactly basically what your dimension does, but the measuring tool is just basically, as it says, it's just to dimension measure and not to per se dimension. Now within your measuring tool, it has couple options. You can measure a distance by just clicking your distance, and then you click your first point and your second point. And here we have it. It is 1.30.0011. As I said, here in your measuring tool is more precise than your dimensions. And that is because your measuring tool, it takes over your precision from your drawing, whereas in your dimensions, you have precision assigned to your style. So that is the difference between your measuring tool and your dimensions. Your measuring tool is more precise because the precision that you have set in your styles in your dimensions are not set in your measuring tool, because the measuring tool does not hold a style. It just inherits your settings from your drawing itself. So in my case, my precision from my drawing was 4 decimals, and in this one, most likely it is 1 or 2 decimals. And that is why by my dimensions, it rounded off to 0, whereas in my measuring tool, it does not round off. It let me see exactly what the distance is precisely. Now that was the distance tool. Then you have your radius tool, and the radius, that just measure the radius and your diameter. Now here we can see my radius is 10.0001 and my diameter is 20.0002. Now that is the radius. Now we have the angle tool, and the angle just measures the angle between two lines or 2 points. In this case, it is 90 degrees. That is correct. It is 90 degrees because it is perpendicular on each other. Now here we can measure this one to see how much this one is. Here you can see it is 39 degrees. So as you can see, I measure a couple stuff without even having to draw a dimension. So when I escape this tool, I don't have dimensions to have to erase or anything, and I have still my information that I needed to know. Now let us continue with the area tool. Now the area just calculates the area, meaning square meters, square inches, square millimeters. Since my drawing is set to millimeters, it is going to measure the area in square millimeters. So now you select how can you select the area? It is just by clicking all the points that is surrounded in that area. As you can see now, you see a green area that appears. That is basically showing me the area I am selecting. Now this is not a good idea to jump from this side to this side. As you can see, it's very strange, the green area. So what you have to make sure do is make sure you follow the area in the right order. Now, after you finish drawing your area, so let's say I'm now finished because I've selected all 5 points in this example, you press the space bar or enter, and now you can see my area is right here. It is 20 to 288,614 and a little bit of change square millimeters. And also it gives me the parameter of, so basically the outside surrounding lines of this area that I've also selected. That is 4,736 millimeters, or 36.8 millimeters. So that is very handy when you're trying to, let's say you want to know the area from, let's say, this part right here. Let us see if we can do this. That is more complicated because now we have a arc and straight lines. So now to switch to the arc, as you can see here, you have arc length or total, but let us click arc. So now we're going to the arc. You have to read first what it is asking you for. It is asking me for my end point of the arc, or it is asking me for, let us click the center first. So center, and then this point right here, and let us reverse it. So hold CTRL. Now let us undo that. Let us try that one more time. To do this correctly, it is best that you have, of course, your snaps on. So let us try this again. Your first point would be this, then you select arc. Now this arc will appear. Now I want to draw my arc with the center point. So now that is when you need your snap point. You will select the center point of your arc from your line. So basically here. Now the direction is wrong. As you can see, it's selecting the bottom part, but I wanted to select the top part. So here is when you press CTRL. And as you can see, it switched it over and you just click and point. So now you can see I have my arc nicely overlapping the lines where it's supposed to be. Now let's switch back over to lines and let us continue. And right here. Now this is the part that I want to select. Then you press enter or space bar. And here we can see the area, which is 2,408,000. No, 2.4 million basically square meters, millimeters, sorry. And you have also your parameter, which is 6,074 and a half millimeters. So that is also a handy tool so that you know the area of a specific yeah, basically a area of something that you want to know, the area of your walls, the areas of your floor, if you want to calculate how much square meters are in a room, so that you would know how much square meter of tiles you need to buy or how much square meters of paint. So those things are very handy to know. Now let us move over to the measuring tool, the volume. Now there's two ways to do this. You can either draw your area and then punch in your height. Right here it is asking you for your height. Or you can just select draw the object and then select it as an object. So then you clicked on object and then you select the object And then right here you can see that it is giving me the volume again in cubic millimeters. Now that was all the options for your measuring tool. Now there are also other things in your measuring tool that you can use in your utilities panel that you can use, like your quick select. And quick select is very handy because when you have a drawing like this one, it has many stuff on the drawing. Now, if I want, let's say I wanted to select all the objects that are yellow, then I just clicked on color and then select your layer, which is then, or by layer, the layer that is now active, or yellow. Now, if I clicked OK, it will then select all my objects that are yellow. Now, in this case, these are blocks, so it won't select it. But let us try one more time again. Let us say all my layers, all my objects that are in my layers opening. Where is it? Openings. I click OK. And now you can see it selected all my objects that are on the layer openings. You can also do this by block name. Let's say when I selected a color earlier, let us say the color cyan. That is, these exterior walls are all in the color cyan. So now if I selected OK, why is it not selecting it? Okay, because it is by layer. Now let us try this again. Copy and then paste it, and then let us just give this the color cyan. Color cyan. Okay, it should be able to select it. As you can see now, it selected it because it is not assigned to a layer, but it is assigned to a color. So not by layer, but by color. So that way you can select. Sometimes you have a lot of lines that are left without or are not assigned to a layer. So in that way you can then quickly select these objects and then assign them to a layer. Like right here we have this one that is also assigned by layer, and this has the layer hatch. So in that way you can then select all objects that are assigned to that layer. It can also select many other things. It don't have to be by colors or by layer. You can also select by block reference, and then you can select or the color of the block, the layer, the line type. There are so many options, mainly also by name. So the name of the layer, as you can see, it loaded all the names of, sorry, not the layer, but a block name. It loaded all the blocks name right now. And if I select OK, it selected all my doors because I've selected to search or select all my doors. So that is very handy, quick select. I use this very much because it saved me time from having to go one by one and selecting those objects. It is super handy. Now right here we have a select all. This just select all my objects. If you wanted to select all your objects without having to go and cross selecting your objects. Um, yeah, it's just basically one click instead of having to do this. It may take more time. You can just do it by selecting this one. It does the same thing, but it's just a click of a button instead of having to zoom out and then having to go into all of that. So now we have our quick calculator. And a quick calculator is basically to enter values and then quickly assign those values to whatever function you have. So here we have again our distance tool, and then also you can measure your angles. You can also use your calculator to make your sums, like 4 times 2 equals 8. And then here you can paste 8 to the command line. But of course, you have to first start a command. So here the command, let's us use the command move insertion point. Now it is asking us to displacement. So it's asking for a value. So now here you can go ahead and go into this one and then just click on paste the value to command line, and what it will do, and then press enter, and it moved my, maybe 8 was a little too little bit to see, so we'll do this one more time. Displace, and then let us put 800 so you can see, paste to command line, and then click enter, and you see it moved. That is because the value was pasted to my the value that it was asking for. So that you can then do your calculation here and then paste it instead of having to do the calculations and then typing it out. So it saves you, yeah, a bit of time, not much time, but it still helps one way over another. Now we have here our ID point. Basically, it measures the coordinates of a specific point. As you can see, this point right here has a coordinate of x, y, z. So those are the coordinates of this point right here. And that you can use to check the coordinates of a lot of stuff if you want to. Or um, you can, yeah, basically, yeah, that's just what it is. It's a utility. So it's just to check stuff. And let's see what we have right here. This is our point style. Now I find this very weird that Autodesk put the point style in the utilities tools. Now I don't know exactly why is it important for the point style to be in the utilities tool when we have here by annotation all of our style stuff. So that's kind of weird, but either way, it is just basically a point. You can also draw a point in AutoCAD, and here you can change the style of that point. So if we change it to that other one, and we happen to have draw a point, let us see, where is my points? Can't remember, where is it? I think by insert. Insert, no, it has to be by draw. Okay, I've lost that one, so let me just type it in, point, and now it is asking me where do I want to put my point. Now right here, because we change the style of the point, as you can see, it is this style now, or you can change it to that style or whatever style you want. By default, it is this point right here, but it's so small that you can barely see it. It is there, but you could barely see it. So when you're using points like to mark the 0 points of in your drawing and those kind of stuff, it will be handy to select a different point style than a default point style within AutoCAD, because points are basically just a point. So when you are exporting to other files, like let's say we use CNC machines, and the points are very handy to know where the 0 point is, to where to start your um, geometry without having to export that point to the machine. So that was it, guys, for the utilities tool. It was very short. I prolong it a little bit more because I want to say a little bit more extra. But that was basically it. So I will see you in my next video in our clipboard, and then I will explain that one also. So bye for now, guys.